What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. I have another amazing guest. Her name's Maureen Medrzycki. How's everything going today?
Going pretty good.
Good.
Can't complain.
Awesome. So I know you live in Seattle, so it's a lot sunnier over there. How's the weather been over there?
It's actually been super nice this summer. Like, I went out to the coast a couple weeks ago, which usually the Washington coast, like, doesn't matter how warm it is, it's gray skies.
Yeah.
And it was like clear skies. It's been like mild summer, but we've definitely had some hot days. But it's been a beautiful summer.
Nice.
Overall.
Yeah. I live down in Atlanta, so it's like hot, muggy, humid, and it's you literally walk outside and you're already sweating. So I would love to get like one of those types of like summers of like nice, cool, a little bit, nothing too hot or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, today it's like 75 with a nice breeze, which is perfect because you can pretty much wear whatever you want, and
Yep.
You're not going to be overheated.
Yeah.
Or too cold.
Yeah, like we even like if I even wear like shorts and like no shirt on, it's immediately like walking to my car already sweating because it's already hit 90 degrees and it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah, and the humidity.
Yeah, I can't.
Humidity there is really bad, right?
Yeah, it's insane, absolutely insane. But yeah. So the first question I want to ask you is that when did you get diagnosed with diabetes?
I was diagnosed in 2001 when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
I was a first grader.
Yeah. So how did you find out when you got diagnosed?
I mean, I was in first grade, and I was like, I'm not like super tall. I'm only 5'3", and as a kid, I was a really small kid. I've always been a really sturdy kid, but when I was in first grade, I lost like 20 pounds, and so for someone as small as I was, my mom was like, obviously there's something wrong. And I never wanted to go to school. I would like just stay in the car and not get out of and like I'd throw huge tantrums, and I was just like crying all the time. And so my mom knew something was off, and then my urine changed color, and I was just going up all the time. So she took me in, and our family doctor that like knew right away, and he was like, yeah, she needs to go to the emergency room, take her right now.
Yeah, so obviously being in first grade, it's like a huge transition. Does anybody in your family have diabetes at all, or is it just you?
So my cousin, who is like 5 years older than me, he was actually diagnosed a week after me.
Okay.
So I was 7. I guess he's 6 years older. He was 13. So he's type 1 as well.
Okay. So how was the transition from, being a non-diabetic to being a diabetic in like the earlier years? Because I've never had that experience because like I say all my podcasts, I got diagnosed at like a month before my 35th birthday. So I don't have the experience that some of you guys have when you guys get diabetes at a younger age. So what was it like growing up with diabetes?
I mean, initially, like, I remember going to that doctor's appointment and having them take me to the doctor or to the hospital because I was actually really excited. I had no idea what was going on. And I was like, oh, I gotta go to the hospital. I thought it was like, like you're going to the fair or you're going somewhere exciting. And so, but after that, like, I honestly don't remember, like, a lot of, like, the transition of going from, like, not eating, or, like, because my mom did everything. So my mom cooked my food. I didn't notice too much, like, how things had changed. And I've always been, like, a very, like, tough person. And so she told me that, like, when I was first diagnosed, like, she had a hard time giving me shots because it made her upset, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, okay, like, this is what we're doing now, and she just was like, you were such a tough little kid, like, you just dealt with it so well, and, like, I always, like, when I would get my blood drawn, she's like, your face is just so straight all the time, like, you just took it like it was nothing. So, but I mean, also, growing up, like, I've always been very athletic, and I've always played sports, sports. And so, like, I would say that's always been, like, one of the biggest factors for me that I think has kept me healthy and, like, given me drive to stay, like, in my ranges and under good control. But it was also, like, hard being an athlete, even as a kid. And, like, there's things, like, I'm still finding out my parents did that, you know, when I was a kid, they didn't tell me about, like, oh, you didn't go to that. You had games you missed and, like, things like that. Or, like, you had a thing you were supposed to go to, but your blood sugars were off, so we didn't let you go. Or, like, banquets and stuff like that because they didn't want me dealing with, like, treats. And,
yeah.
But as a kid, I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter.
Yeah, they did a really good job of hiding it from you, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of 6 kids. I'm number 5.
Okay.
So there was always another reason, you know, to keep me back from something, because there was probably someone else out of a sporting event I had to go to instead, or, you know, there was lots of cover-up.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, have you been on the pump before? Like, were you using, like, just injections the whole time, all the way through, like, you know, high school and college, or what was it like for taking insulin for you?
I was on injections until I was in 6th grade, so 2006. And then I got my first insulin pump, which was a Medtronic, and I had that all middle school. And that was, like, I mean, I definitely liked it. I was really sick of taking shots, and they didn't always work for me. Like, I didn't absorb the insulin as well through shots, just because I was getting, like, scar tissue, and I would always go in the same spot.
Yeah.
And going on the pump with, like, basal rates and whatnot, like, really helped my blood sugars, like, stay in good control a lot better than being on, like, long-term insulin and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But then in high school, I had an Omnipod, like, I think maybe all 4 years, I can't remember, or maybe I think I had Medtronic my freshman year or 2, but I swam and played water polo, so I used an Omnipod because I didn't have to take it off during the games, and for water polo, and I could still get my basal rate, and I could just increase it. So
okay.
That was super nice and convenient.
Yeah.
And I had that until my first year of college, and then they, like, upgraded, and I had so many problems with them, and I couldn't, they, like, basically it would stop giving me insulin hours before it would say it was, like, out, or not even out, but it would, like, do, like, an alarm or something, and so all of a sudden I'd be like, why is my blood sugar going up? And all of a sudden I'd be like 400, and I would have to do, like, a jumping class or whatever, run to my dorm and, like, take a shot or whatever, and it was, like, constantly happening, so I got rid of that, and then I was on shots for, like, a year and a half just because, and then I got the pump I have now, which is a tandem.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Yeah, I'm working my way to. Yeah. Well, I mean, not awesome, but yeah. But like, I'm actually working my way to get a Medtronic's pump for the first time, because I've done shots the whole time. So I'm working on that, and so I'm trying to do, like, they say, like, if you don't make this amount per year, you could actually get a lower price for it, like a kind of like a payment plan for it. So I'm trying to figure out what we need to get to that lower rate, because obviously, like, my insurance pays for a good amount of it, but it's still expensive for the first initial pay. So
yeah, I've been pretty lucky with insurance in Washington. I mean, for the last time I got my Washington healthcare, and they cover, like, everything. So that has been really nice, like, at least in my adult life. And then when I was a kid, I didn't really know. My parents paid whatever for whatever. They didn't care. They're just like, she needs to be alive and be healthy.
Yeah. Whatever it takes. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. So were you playing sports in college at all, or?
I did not play sports in college. I really wanted to. I wanted to play collegiate water polo, but when I was in high school, I didn't really, like, know how to go about, like, getting scouted. It's not a huge sport. So
yeah.
You kind of have to know people and have connections to, like, get in. California is, like, the biggest place to play. But I just, like, didn't really didn't know what to do, and like my senior year was kind of weird, so I was like, whatever. And then that was in college is when I like really started like just working out on my own.
Okay. And I know you're really big into CrossFit now. So when did that all come about?
About 2 years ago, like exactly right now. So I had been like I worked out on my own through college. I used to run a lot in college, just because it was accessible. And the rec center at my school was like 100 yards from my dorm room, and it was open till night every day. So and just when I got up super late, I would get bored, so I'd go work out or like go do like sprints on the track. We had an indoor track, which was cool, and then we had like really nice facilities at my school, but it was small, so there was hardly ever anyone there.
Yeah.
Except for like athletes working out.
Mm-hmm.
But I played intramural in college, which that was a lot of fun. But CrossFit kind of bloomed out of just like working out on my own. I did like a lot of like I did a lot of HIIT training and like high intensity stuff, but I loved it. Like I loved like the adrenaline rush from it, but I'm also extremely competitive. So 2 years ago, September, I like signed up for the gym that I work at now, and like the girl who was working like it was like an on-ramp class, so you go in, it was like the first 2 weeks were free, and then after that you decide if you want to stick around and you sign up for a membership. And so I was like, the first day I walked in, I was like, this is dope, like yes. And she was like, we're very competitive, like if you're competitive you're gonna love it. And I like knew after the first class, I was like, yeah, this is totally my jam, I'm totally gonna stick it out. I just loved it. And I've been at that gym like ever since, and I've done a couple competitions with people there, and then a couple individual on my own, and now I coach there.
Nice. So what's the CrossFit gym called?
It's called Town Athletics.
Okay.
Or if you Google, it's Tacoma CrossFit.
Okay.
I'm not Seattle, I'm Tacoma.
Yeah.
But
So did they change it after the whole Greg Glassman thing to the athletics part, or when did that change?
No, we've always been Town Athletics. Our affiliate name is Tacoma CrossFit. That's not even like our gym name at all. We're Town Athletics. That's our thing. We've always been that, like above all else. But regardless of CrossFit, like we follow like CrossFit methodology, but we're Town Athletics.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen in your stories and your videos of like the gym. So I mean, it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's got a big space and everything like that. So with Olympic lifting pads and like their own rig and stuff like that.
It's actually much smaller than it looks.
Yeah.
Because most CrossFit gyms you see like have these huge warehouses and like garage doors and stuff. And they're like the facility where I'm at, it used to be like a hair salon.
Really?
So, yeah. And so they basically, when I started, it was like half the size it is, and they had just opened up the wall and started expanding. And so the platform, they actually built the floor up like 1.5 feet. So we have pound pads so we can drop weight. They were getting noise complaints from the neighbors.
Yep.
And so we can drop weight, and we have like wood platforms. We have 6-foot platforms, and then there's actually platforms built into the floor throughout the whole rest of the gym. So we have, I think, like total, there's like 24 places you can lift and drop weight, which is pretty cool because not a lot of gyms can you drop weight. And we have like the owners of my gym are very much like have all the best equipment. Like we're so spoiled. We have a class capacity, which is different because of COVID, of course, but normally our class sizes are 12. So we have 12 rowers, 12 skiers, and 12 echo bikes.
Wow. And
so everyone always you can always do the workout as prescribed, basically.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy because a lot of people don't even have the ski ergs, so they'll maybe have like 1 or 2, but 12 That's a good amount. So are they mounted to the wall, or like can you like transport them everywhere?
They do have like everything can be moved because the space isn't super big. So we set up like for the day. So whatever the prescribed workout is, like we'll set up the equipment for what we need. So like the workout on Friday had both echo bikes and the skiers, so we pulled those out, and then all the rowers and extra stuff is off to the side.
Okay, so cool. So as a coach, how do you get your class to like buy into like what the workout is for the day and like kind of push themselves to to get better?
I mean, I think with like CrossFit, and there's just like such a misconception that like go hard all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I always try to tell people like just like it's infinitely scalable. Like everything can be scaled to like how you feel for the day. So like do the workout, but don't kill yourself unless you really want to.
Yeah.
I do sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but we have a super strong community, and so even if like the workout sucks, people still want to do it just to be like with the community and being active and just like involved. But we have a very diverse community, and like we have members who are like in their late 60s who like one woman in particular has like a rock on her shoulders, and she can't do like anything overhead, so we have to scale for her every day for anything we do like that. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So what are the things that you're working on yourself, like for CrossFit?
Everything.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, like I just made a post today, like muscle up. I recently got my first strict muscle up and my first skipping muscle up, and that was kind of like my one thing I couldn't do yet. Like I knew I could probably do it, but last year I'd been really trying to get a kipping muscle up, and one of my coaches was like, hey, you're done trying until you get a strict. So you're not allowed to do a kipping muscle up until you can do a strict muscle up. So we know that you have the strength and like the ability to do a kipping one.
Yep.
And that's kind of how everything in my gym is. You're not allowed to do kipping pull-ups until you can do like 3 to 5 strict pull-ups. So, and then so that was like one of the big things I was trying to like kind of check off my goal list. And when we were closed for 3 months, all I did, that and handstand walking, which I could handstand walk, but not very far. So over quarantine, all I did was handstand walk, do core work, and I had 2 40-pound dumbbells, so every workout that I did was with a 40-pound dumbbell, so my upper body strength got a lot better.
Yep.
And then I just did like tons of push-ups, tons of pull-ups, and tons of rows while we were closed, and like paid off. So it's kind of actually, since we've opened up back in June, my upper body strength has like definitely improved, like noticeably. And then like all my gymnastic skills have just kind of clicked. So I'm like I can handstand walk like 40 feet now.
Nice.
I have muscle ups. So yeah, it's just kind of like keeping on the grind and improving and getting better so I can do more and get my conditioning in those movements too. Yeah, and then weightlifting, I love it. I want all the numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
So my snatch and my clean and jerk, like improving on those is a big deal for me too. So trying to my goal for clean and jerk, next time I test, I want to hit 220, and then my snatch, I'm trying to hit like 160. But,
Oh, you could definitely get that. You could definitely get that. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I think so too. With especially like I've been doing Catalyst Athletics programming for weightlifting right now, and it's friggin' hard, but it's paid off, so
yeah.
It's worth it.
So before comp training, when I was training, I would do Misfit Athletics, and they love doing Olympic weightlifting complexes. Like they'll they want to bury you just with the complexes, and even comp train, they're at the point they're doing that too. So like I think like doing those different complexes are like a huge help to get the weights up, and also there's like especially when I learned with the snatch is if you turn your elbows in to your body, it fires the lats up, and then if you curl your hand down so like the bottom knuckle, like your top knuckles are actually on the ground. When you do those things together, you get a better pull, and then when you hit, you can get underneath it a lot quicker. So
my issue with my snatch right now is my speed under the bar.
Yeah.
So like I don't think I can, like, strength-wise, I'm strong enough to lift more, but technique-wise, with my speed, I'm not going to be able to get like the numbers I want unless I work on that.
Yeah.
And as I just started this new 8-week cycle with athletics, which is like one of the programs you can buy on their website. And I've just been doing stuff like drop snatches and snatch balances. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at these.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I don't know how bad I was doing them. I was like, yeah, like, my speed definitely needs work.
Yeah, I agree. Because, like, with me, it's the same thing. Like, I'll get underneath it, and I'm almost doing, like, a power snatch by the time I catch it because I rip it so hard. And, a fellow diabetic, Miss Maddie Boland, she's telling me, you need to get underneath that bar quicker because you could probably pull another, like, 20, 40 pounds on that snatch just to get underneath it.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
That's about where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't... I'm super quick, but then, like, the bar gets so high that I can't squat all the way down to, like, the bottom part of the snatch. So it's like, what do I do? So I'm just like, I guess...
My power snatch and my full snatch are only 3 kilos apart right now, so
yeah.
If that tells you how high I can pull the bar,
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So do you have your CrossFit level 1? Do you have any other certifications at all, or?
So I don't have my CFL 1 yet. I just have my personal trainer, but I was just basically waiting until COVID, so now I'm registered to get it, but it won't be the closest class, or like basically December is the next time they have a class in Seattle. So.
Yeah.
I'm a very tactical person, so if I see something done or I hear it be done from a person in person, then I understand it a lot better.
Yeah. Yep. I'm in the same boat as you are, so I need to have someone right in front of me just to understand everything. So, the Open's coming up in February. Are you almost ready for it, or what are you doing to train to get ready for it?
I mean, I wouldn't like I specifically train for the Open. Especially like since I've started, I feel like I'm just at the point in CrossFit where like I have all my skills down and I can really like drive my conditioning hard now, and work on it. It's pretty decent. But I use the Open more to just see like personal improvement and like how I've been doing over the course of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I did the Open, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The first time I did the Open, I like placed like, I don't know, like 45,000th or something. I didn't enter one of the workouts, so that skewed my results. And then last year when I did it, I was like, one of the workouts I was sick, so I didn't even like, I did it, but I was like, I don't care about it or whatever.
Yeah.
It was that workout with, it was like the dumbbell thrusters, toes to bar.
Oh, yeah.
Unders.
Yep.
Yeah. I hated that so much.
Yeah.
But I went from, 45,000 my first year to 13,000, 11,000, I think. So, if I can bump up to like 5, that'd be cool.
Hey, that's amazing though. That's a huge jump from when you first started. So, I mean, from their first year to the second year, that's a big jump though.
Yeah. For sure. And I feel like, I don't know, I have strength-wise, that's like strength workouts are definitely my jam. So that's kind of like my improvement has been my gymnastics for sure, and just like my conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see where I place this next year, as like my gymnastics have gotten so much better and my conditioning has gotten so much better. I mean, yeah, I've gotten stronger, but I like even last year my numbers like haven't changed super drastically. I just like was still kind of unveiling my capabilities, I guess you could say.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you. Like, so with me being like 6'5", my gymnastics is a little bit difficult. Like doing toes to bars and like handstand push-ups is like the worst for me. And I always try to tell myself, like, you know, all right, this year we're gonna work on it. We're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit it. And like, I try it, and it's still like I don't know if it's my grip strength or just being long limbed or whatnot. It's just I've always have a hard time with doing gymnastic stuff.
Yeah, it's I would say with my height, I'm definitely kind of like, well, other than like things that are good for tall people, like rowing and
wall balls,
wall balls, everything is almost, I feel like, more of an advantage to be shorter, right?
Yeah. I think
barbell cycling, you don't have to move as far.
Yeah.
With handstand push-ups.
Yeah, I think I remember them doing a study saying that like 95% of all the CrossFit movements are good for like people that are like 5'9" and under. If you're like 6 feet and over, you're screwed. It's like, but like the only two are wall balls and rowing, and I'm like, thank God that was in one workout. So, like a couple years ago.
That's horrible, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, but so are you planning for anything else with like CrossFit at all by the end of the year?
I mean, everything's been like changed. I have like 5 competitions I was planning on doing this summer. The one that's like the big competition around here, that it's like a local one that, I mean, last year we had 500 athletes go to it. It's the Cascade Classic in Seattle.
Okay.
And that's pretty much, I think it's been canceled. Like, normally I haven't followed them like on Instagram or, but their qualifiers are usually in June, and they didn't have them this year. So, yeah, there's really I don't think they're having it, but it's a bummer because it's an awesome competition, and it's crazy because it's like local, and then you go and there's like some insane athletes.
Yeah.
Like there's games athletes that go, and the other big one is the Can West Games, which is in British Columbia in Canada, and like I don't think that's going on either, or if it is, like no Americans are going.
Yeah. So have you thought about doing any weightlifting competitions at all?
Yeah, so that was another thing I had planned. I was gonna do one in I'm in North Tacoma, so this gym's in South Tacoma, and they put on 3 Olympic weightlifting competitions a year.
Yep.
And they haven't had any. So, but yeah, whenever they start doing it, like I'm definitely going to compete in that as well. Because I think, like, I don't really care with CrossFit. You don't have to really worry about weight class, and like I'm a pretty dead person. So numbers for like my weight class in weightlifting, like I don't know how well I would do, but I think locally I'd still do pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, because I want to do an Olympic weightlifting competition too, but my thing is like, I just want to be there, just try it out, see what it's all about, and you know, maybe I'll pursue a little bit more of it, but like I just want to just get my toes wet just a little bit. And we're actually really excited because tomorrow on Monday I'm actually get my new lifters I bought off of eBay, the new Nike 3 Romalos, whatever.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, because I've never
What color?
They're all white. I got them, insane deal. Like I got them for $60, and they're usually like $200.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's super good.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like scrolling through. I'm like, okay, what can I get? And I saw those. I'm like, oh yes, click. And I was the only bidder on it too. Like no one else went for it. Yeah. It was some guy from like some guy from Kent, Washington. I was like, holy smokes, is this really true? And like I saw like the like 30 seconds left. You know when you get like anxious with eBay and you're got 30 seconds, you have to like just please no, like refresh, and yeah, like, and I got it. I can't believe it. So I did have a pair of Reebok lifters before, but that was when I got like my knees were like, I had like some issues with my knees, and I couldn't really squat properly or just use them right. So I just got rid of them and just kept on using my my Metcons. So I'm really excited to try these lifters and be more ready and ready for them.
Probably gonna take like 2 weeks of adjusting.
Yeah.
Just because the height
Yeah.
difference. Like when I got my lifters, I was wearing some lifters someone had given me, but they were like those. They were like Adidas, kind of like a hybrid shoes.
Yeah.
You could do wads and stuff too, but the heel wasn't as high. And so then I got Reeboks, and like just adjusting from that heel to the Reebok heel, which wasn't a huge difference. Like I was constantly for like the next 2 weeks, I kept missing like all my snatch lifts because I would just like drop it because I felt like I was so far forward.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had to pull more, and I was like, oh, this is so weird. Now I'm used to it, but
yeah. So
definitely took.
So are you with those lifters? Are you leaning back more than you were before, like your regular shoes, or what? Like what? Because I'm not really quite sure what it's like.
Well, I mean, when you're up on a heel, your angle is different. So like your feet, the angle of your feet are more like this. So you're gonna feel like you're more forward.
Yeah.
So it's just adjusting to like basically like staying tall and not like kind of molding to the shoe, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It definitely made a difference.
Yeah.
Like I had to kind of like break into the shoe.
Yeah. So did you have to like heat your shoes? Because the old Reebok lifters I had, they had the U form where you put them in like you could put them in the oven or like put them in a hot car, and then once like the logo turns red, you put your feet in it and walk around a little bit just to mold to your feet. Do the Legacies do that?
No, mine weren't like that.
Okay. Yeah, because
I've heard about those, and they're like supposedly super comfortable, right?
I mean, it was. I mean, mine were used, so I really can't give like a great example of it because.
They were already molded.
Yeah, they were like molded. So I actually put them in my car one summer in Atlanta, and literally like 15 minutes, it already was like lit up with like the label was lit up red. So I put them on, warm it a little bit, but I just didn't feel too comfortable wearing them. So I don't know if it was just because they've been used for so long. They were like the original CrossFit like lifters, the Reebok lifters.
Yeah.
So I mean, they probably had a lot of use in them. So I was like, I don't think I got a good opportunity like breaking them in properly.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, are you looking to get any more like lifting shoes at all, or are you gonna stick with that one?
I do like the ones I have. I was kind of bummed after I'd only had them for like a month, and the toe chipped. But it's my right foot, which when I split jerk, I'm left foot forward, so it's the toe that I'm always like up on in my back foot.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, well maybe it's just because of that. But like I have a number of friends who have the same shoes and they haven't had that problem. And I could complain, but I don't know. I'm lazy to do that because I don't want to have to break in another pair of shoes.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Yeah, I think when I get these, I'm just one and done. Like I'm just gonna stick with these forever. So unless like some magical shoe comes up and it's like, oh, I gotta get it,
I mean, depending how much you lift in them, though. Like, my friend has the Nike Romeos, and like he's had them for like a year, and his were like falling apart, like the sole on the thing off, and he called Nike and was like, hey, like I haven't had these that long, like they're like deteriorating, and they're like, well, how much do you lift? And he's like, well, 5-6 days a week, for like an hour or two, and they're like, well, that's a lot. So get a new pair. He was like, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So how do you maintain your blood sugars levels while you're working out?
Usually I work out at the same time mornings from like 10:30 to 12:30. And so then I've already had breakfast. You know, I don't have a lot of lows unless like it's like a fluke or something's like off. And then I notice like if I get high, it's usually because like I'm squatting heavy or like my cortisol levels are going up because of whatever kind of activity I'm doing, which I don't have a lot of issues with that in the morning. But in the evenings, if I work out in the evenings, I've noticed that like my cortisol levels like are much higher for some reason. And so it's like as soon as I start lifting, my blood sugar is going up. So I try to take insulin, but I don't work out in the evening too often, so it's usually not an issue. But if I even do like a Metcon after I lift, it just shoots up, and then it takes a while for it to come down too.
Yeah. So do you typically like to lift like early morning, or like what's your desire? If you had like nothing going on, what's your desired time that you like to lift?
I like lifting like I lift at 10:30 or like 11.
Okay.
So, and like at my gym too, like I coach classes. So we have a class at 9:30 and a class at 12:30. So if I coach those classes, I just work out in between them. And then I pretty much will either have the rest of the day free or depends if I have clients or whatever.
Okay. So how many clients do you typically have? Like obviously, let's just say pre-COVID, like how many clients would you have like during the week?
So I wasn't actually working at my gym pre-COVID.
Oh, okay.
I just started working there like when we opened up in June.
Okay. All right, very cool.
It's been interesting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did you bring some of your clients over to the CrossFit gym at all, or they just stay there?
So, well, the thing is, like with the way our gym is structured, like we can do most of the clients I'm working with. If I say like I have a client, they're usually an onboarding person.
Okay.
So they're coming in. We do like a 5-session on ramp, and then they go in as a member. So right now, that's all I'm doing pretty much. I'm doing onboarding, and then I coach classes. I am actually in the process of starting a new program at my gym. So the way the gym is structured, like the staff are welcome to basically, they call us like intrapreneurs. So we can kind of build our own programs and business within their business. And unlike a lot of other gyms, like I get like 50% of everything I plan. So if I bring in a ton of clients, I get 50% of it, and which is like unheard of, I feel like. And,
yeah.
Or at least around here, most gyms, you don't get like most personal training or things like that. You're not getting much at all.
No, because. So like when I started personal training, like you start at like 45%, and then within like the year or year and a half, you go up to like 48, and you really don't hit that 50% mark till like, I don't know, after you like third year or something like that. It's like obviously the global gyms, they just really care about is the numbers, and they really don't care about, paying their, I don't think they don't like paying their personal trainers, because they just all they just care about is the bottom line. So
yeah, and like the other gyms I have worked at, like I worked at this locally owned, it was like all women's gym, and they paid, it was like $23 an hour was like the starting pay, but then there was like no structure of like how you got more. They were just kind of like, we'll feel you out. And so, which was really stupid, and I didn't stay there very long. And then I worked at LA Fitness for a short time too, and they basically pay you per session, but they only do 30-minute sessions, so you're basically making like nothing.
Yep.
And you have to have like a bajillion clients and have them just keep coming, or you're just making like no money.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because they charge so much for their personal training, and then they don't treat their personal trainers well. So it's like, how can you expect them to stick around and like do anything for your gym?
Yep.
You're not going to pay them.
Yeah, it's a revolving door, because I used to see, because I was at the gym before I left, I was like 4 years in, and I would see people like rotate through the place like all the time, and it's like, and then I realized I'm like, okay, if I want to make, let's just say like 60 grand this year, like I really wanted to get it, I would have to work 6 12-hour shifts with no breaks whatsoever throughout the whole time, and it's just like, I'm not gonna kill myself. I have a wife and kid, and I have another one on the way, and it's like, it's not worth it. So, and plus it's not stable. So that's why.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's when I moved. That's when I moved to being a full-time recruiter, and I'm just doing like personal training like part-time, because it's like I need something. I need something more stable, especially with having 2 kids now, and like I need to pay for my insulin, and the insurance there, I could barely get it because I wasn't even hitting like 33 hours during the week.
Yeah, and that's why, like, working at my gym, I know the owners, like, I trust them, we're friendly, like, if I have a problem, I can go directly to them, and they're like, oh yeah, like, what's up?
Yeah.
You know? But it's just, like, it's, like, the best possible situation I could have found, honestly. And it was really nice, because I'd already been a member there for so long that, like, it was a really easy transition, and, like, a lot of people already knew me, so, and, like, knew my skill set, knew what I was doing, so, like, when I walked in as a coach, they were like, oh, okay, you know, like, kind of saw this coming kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then, so I'm starting a high school program at the gym, like, next month. I, like, am just getting all my stuff organized, and, like, starting to kind of reach out about it to some local high schools and, like, athletic directors tomorrow, trying to build a high school program for, like, off-season high school athletes, especially because, like, right now, I don't know in Atlanta, but, like, all our schools are closed here, and so for, like, I know me being, like, a very dedicated high school athlete, I would have been going insane if I couldn't have my sports.
Yeah.
And it's something, like, the gym has definitely wanted, like, over the past, like, since they've been open, which has been about 5 years, but they haven't had anyone, like, want to really take it on. And it's cool, because, like, as, you know, people come in and, like, I'm running the thing, it's kind of, I get to do what I want with it, it's my program, and then I can kind of, like, evolve it as time goes on, too.
Yeah. So what's the program going to look like for these athletes when they start coming in?
It's going to just be, so they'll have, like, an option to choose, like, 3 days a week or 2 days a week. And then it's just going to be putting emphasis on, like, the Olympic lifts. And then if you're in the 3rd day a week program, the 3rd day of the week is going to be more of, like, a skills day, working on, like, gymnastics and whatnot. So the idea is kind of to increase strength, power, and cardiovascular fitness, kind of what CrossFit does, but just for, like, a more youth-focused thing. So the first season, it's going to be like a 12-week season. The first one is it's going to kind of be like a trial and error type thing, and then I'm going to take, like, the best pieces, and over time the idea is to eventually have, like, tiers. So you might be, like, on a yellow team or a blue team or, like, a green team, and, like, the green team is, like, I'm not a high school athlete, I do CrossFit, you know, like, this is my sport now, but, like, the yellow might be, like, oh, I play lacrosse, and I just need something to do in my off season to keep me in shape and, like, get better. I'm working on, like, speed and agility, and so, like, there might be, like, a more sport focused program. Like, it's the same program, but it's going to be more, like, fine tuned.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yep. No, I gotcha. Awesome. So with the owners of that gym, are they giving you, like, opportunities to grow more within the company, or, like, what are the next steps that you're trying to do?
So that's kind of it right now. They have said, like, down the road that, like, there's 3 owners, and, like, so down the road there will be, like, potential for a gym manager. I'm not sure that's something I'm interested in, but, like, the way they've structured it for, like, their employees is your potential is whatever you want to make it.
So they're very open to all sorts of programs and like kind of building your clientele however you want. They let us actually like price. So if I had a personal training client that was doing like one-on-one with me, I get to set my own I set to like say it's like $80 an hour or something, and they get basically, so which is like 44%. So that's why I said 50, but everything is $4.90.
Okay, cool, very cool. So that's awesome. So we're almost. Oh, actually, I also wanted to talk about your blog that you have. So can you go over a little bit about the blog?
So I started the blog back in May, and the idea of it was kind of just to like put out information that I feel like isn't really out there for the type 1 diabetic community. I mean, when I started CrossFit, like I was constantly Googling because I was like, what is going on with my blood sugars? Or like, are there other athletes that are type 1 diabetic that like, you know, do CrossFit? And I was trying to find out all this information, and I just felt like there was nothing really out there. And I mean, I feel like every type 1 diabetic is more like tuned in with their body than like the general population. But as an athlete, like there's definitely different things you have to consider, and I think just like the lack of information is not great, especially for like parents. Like,
yeah,
my mom was saying like all this stuff like I'm writing about, she's like, if I'd known all that stuff when you were a kid and you were playing sports, like that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
So like when I do write a blog and I post it, I usually like, there's a couple local groups and just like groups on Facebook that I post it to. I'm part of this like, it's like Northwest like type 1 diabetic families, and so I usually post it there too. And like I've had a lot of people, a lot of feedback on that group, be like, oh my gosh, like please keep sharing, like this is awesome, like thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because being someone who has almost 20 years of experience like as a type 1 diabetic and an athlete, like I have a lot of personal experience, and granted, you know, not everybody's body reacts the same, but that's also why I research what I put out there. Like I'm not just putting out, like I do put out personal information.
Yeah.
But it's backed by what I'm researching too. So. Yeah.
I mean, it's just based on your experience. I mean, obviously, you have a lot of people in the fitness industry are pimping like a lot of stuff, saying like, "Oh, this is right" or "This is right," and it's completely false, or like supplements and stuff like that, just pretty much just so they can make money. So pretty much, so it's really hard to actually get people that actually speak the truth and like actually redo the research on everything. So I was looking over your blog, and like I said before, like the cheesecake meal looks really good, and the other articles that you have on there are like super informative to diabetics, especially with working out. And so are you trying to expand it a little bit more, or like what's your thoughts about the blog?
Yeah, it will definitely be expanded. It's just definitely kind of been on hold for the time being, but I have like probably like 4 other blogs I just need to like basically write, that have been like already outlined and stuff, and just like finish touching them up and then put them on the page. I have like a lot of ideas for some really good content, and a lot of it is just like really like how your body reacts to certain things. And I think like at least when I was a kid, and like things I've learned now, is like how much your body reacts in regards to different things, and like how your hormones are affected. And not only that, so like I'm a type 1 diabetic, as is my cousin, but in my family alone, we have like almost everyone has an autoimmune disease.
Yep.
So we're all very much like into researching what is affecting you, why it could be affecting you, and maybe not everything is a hard answer, but there's information out there, and it's good to just share it and get other people involved, because someone might know something you don't know or have a different perspective. And I just think it's a good idea to just like get the information to the people who need it. And then also with my blog too, like I think one of the things I've wanted to promote is also that like fitness and being active is just people with type 1 diabetes. And there's just like so many things that could go wrong, I think, if you don't live an active lifestyle.
Yep.
That by living an active lifestyle with type 1, you're just like kind of throwing those things out the door. And not to like toot my own horn or anything, but like, 20 years of being a type 1 diabetic, I've never passed out. I've never been to the ER. Like I've never been hospitalized or anything. And like my A1C is below 6. So
awesome.
And yeah, and I like that's something I've tried really hard to keep it that way. And I think I will say part of that is my doctor as a child only treated adults.
Yeah.
Except for me. I was his only like patient that was a child, and he treated me like an adult, which was actually very scary. So sometimes when I would go to appointments, I would be very scared that I would be in trouble. But my A1C has never been above 9. So even, other than diagnosis, it was like, I think 11.
Yeah.
But he kept me like in very good control. And I didn't like, now I see people on Facebook or like Instagram who are like, older than me. And like my A1C is like 10. And I'm like, how can you live like that?
Yeah. Yep.
Don't you feel horrible?
Yeah. With me, when I first got diagnosed, it was like 11.5. And then I think within like 9 months, I got it all the way down to like 5.8. And so,
yeah.
And so then,
That's awesome.
But then I was eating like an a-hole and just decided to eat like more like sugary treats and stuff like that. Now it's up to like 7, but I'm like trying to bring it back down and not be like that, eat like an a-hole guy. So
yeah.
Yeah, but like,
hey, we all have those days.
Oh yeah,
we all need that.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie. If my wife asks for ice cream, I'm gonna get it. So even though I'm trying not to.
Ice cream, I love. Ice cream is like my most favorite food.
Oh.
Like I have no self-control when it comes to ice cream. I just take a lot of insulin.
Yeah, me too. Like if it's chocolate chip cookie dough, forget it. Like game over. Like I'm going to town on that jar. So it's I can't help it. And plus there's a place called, I don't know if it's in your area, but there's a place called Culver's. Have you ever heard of it?
No, we don't have that.
Okay, so what they do is they have homemade custard, and you can add, they call it cement mixers. So they have the custard, and you add in like whatever like candy or whatever you want in there. So I always go for like the cookie dough and Reese's peanut butter cup, like cement mixer, like, and it's like almost, I think I get it maybe like twice a week, if that, like lately, and I'm like, I'm really gonna stop this. So because it's like it's
like an addiction.
Yeah, it's literally like 2 minutes down the road, and it's not even like, and it's so easy to get to, and it's like, gosh, I wish you were like 10 miles away. It'd be like, I wouldn't go.
Yeah, that's literally like one of the things I have to just not buy. I have like a huge sweet tooth.
Yeah.
So I have to just like completely avoid buying food that are sweet, because like when I do, I'm like, well, I have it, I'm gonna eat it, but I shouldn't. Or
Yeah.
like, have a portion size, not like go crazy.
Nice. So we're getting close to the end. So we have a couple of questions left. So where can people reach out to you on like social media, your blog, or anything else that you wanted to promote?
Well, my blog, it's toughbydesign.blog.com. And then, actually, I lied. It's toughbydesign.com. But you can also reach out to me on my email, which is toughbydesignblog@gmail.com. And then my Instagram page, which is like my T1D, kind of all my CrossFit stuff is Tough by Design T1D. So.
All right, cool. And then, so what would you tell a new trainer that's getting into the business what to expect?
I mean, it's funny because I have totally different expectations, I think, than like the average person who's going to become a personal trainer or like a coach. But and also I just have had a different experience of like what the fitness industry is too. But I mean, just don't, like, for me, working for like someone who, like, I work for a small business, and like I know the people I work for, and I agree with the way they do things, and they're very open. Like, we have a really good team, and that's really important to me. Like, being able to communicate with the people who I'm working with. And I feel like if you don't have good communication, or you're just working for someone, you don't even know who you're really working for, like, how can you be more educated, like, unless you're just doing it by yourself? You know, like, I have a really good support system, so like my owners, like, they want us to be educated, they want us to be certified, and like they make sure like our performance, and like if there's a complaint or anything, or like hey, you're doing great, like we hear it right away. So just like looking for like a good place to work makes all the difference, I'd say.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so, last question. So, what would you expect? What would you tell a new diabetic what to expect for the rest of their life?
It's gonna suck. That's what I always have to say. It will suck so bad. But then it gets easier and easier and easier, and then you don't even notice it. And it's just like you're in pilot mode. Hopefully, if you take good care of yourself, I suppose. But, you know, I think with diabetes, you have to take every day one at a time, too. Like, you can't expect that every day is going to go well, even if the day before did. And so kind of just being adaptable and flexible and, like, okay with the fact that, like, your day does flow. Like, not every day is going to be perfect. And on those days where it's not perfect, like, don't hate yourself, you know? You can't always control everything. And our bodies do crazy shit, especially if you're a female. Like, honestly, like, your menstrual cycle changes everything. I was actually talking to someone on Instagram about that today, who's another type 1 diabetic. Like, your hormones fluctuate so much, and you kind of just have to, like, give yourself some, like, benefit of the doubt that you're doing okay, and then just go with the flow. Trust yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I've heard from, like, the teenage years are kind of difficult with all the hormones change as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My blood sugars were not great then.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming on to the show. I really do appreciate it, and it was about time that we actually started connecting. We connected and actually did this. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for doing this, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right. Hey guys, before we start this episode, I wanted to talk to you about Type 1 Lifting. So, Type 1 Lifting is a clothing line that proceeds of the shirts and tanks and everything else goes to the Children's Diabetes Foundation. So this all came about with me and seeing a 5-year-old girl in the emergency department that had new onset of diabetes. So just take a look at the website. It's www.type1lifting.com. So just check it out. If you don't buy anything, that's perfectly fine. I would just like for you just to take a look and just see what we have. So like I said before, www.type1lifting.com. And guys, I hope you enjoy the show.